Good morning. Obviously, we're off to another great start here this year with our annual meeting. I appreciate you being here for spending time away from your farms, being here, doing the work of New York Farm Bureau. It has been an especially trying year. It was just over a month ago that Hurricane Sandy barreled down on our state, leaving a path of devastation in her wake. Farmers know all too well the heartache and struggles Mother Nature can cause. Many of you have responded with food donations sent to food banks in New York City and Long Island. This on top of the more than 5.3 million pounds of food that was given throughout the year as part of the Harvest for All program. Our thoughts and prayers are still with those dealing with the consequences of Sandy. It is with great honor and humility that I stand here today leading an organization that has made great strides defending the values we hold dear and working to improve the business climate for each of our family farms. We were successful on a number of fronts for each one of our family farms, but we can't rest on our laurels. There are big obstacles in our path, laced with uncertainties, but I am confident we will meet those challenges head on as we spend our days here at this year's annual meeting, charting our course for 2013. I know you, the delegates, have come ready to work on the proposed resolutions put before you. This process is the foundation of Farm Bureau. It represents a true democratic process that gives everyone a voice, a chance to be heard on the issues of the day. We may not agree, but we leave here respecting each other's viewpoints. As we go through this critical process, I would like you to consider the word why. This past year, the staff of New York Farm Bureau has been taking a hard look at that very simple word. If we want to better understand why we are part of Farm Bureau, why we need to move Farm Bureau forward. Jeff Kirby will be speaking about this later in his speech. Certainly, each one of you in this room has your own reasons for why we belong, and they are very personal. I am involved to help at the grassroots level. I believe in our way of life and the need for a diverse agricultural community in our state. I want to protect the ability for my kids, and your grandkids to choose a future on the farm because of strong policy developed by farmers to help farmers. While you consider the resolutions at hand, I encourage you to keep your why in mind and let it guide you this week. Looking back on the past year, we had significant changes. One of the most significant has been our affiliation with Nationwide Insurance. They are a partner in the truest sense of the word, striving to increase our membership and showcasing why it literally pays to be a part of Farm Bureau. Their agents have visited many of our farms to learn more about what we do every day so they can pass along the experiences to their customers, who are considered members of Nationwide, not policyholders. It is a bond Farm Bureau shares with them as membership organizations working together for the common cause of strengthening agriculture. Nationwide has a stake in our success, but it isn't just our growing membership list that has impressed me most about Nationwide. They also bring with them personal connections and a sense of caring. Just look at what Nationwide staff did following Hurricane Sandy. They had 3 emergency response tractor trailers filled with relief supplies parked at a number of locations in and around Long Island and New York City. And their agents were going door to door in affected neighborhoods offering help, regardless of whether or not they were members of Nationwide. Combine that with what our staff is doing to beef up our membership efforts and field work, and we are seeing real growth in new members. This year alone, we have seen 1,800 new Farm Bureau members coming from Nationwide as compared to 1,100 last year. There is strength in numbers, and through our hard work, we are seeing positive results in the right direction. Having that larger army will give us ample ammunition as we continue to take our fight to the Capitol halls in Albany and Washington, D.C. Just look at what we were able to do this past year. We have been very successful in making sure lawmakers understand our concerns. We fought off new federal regulations that would have dictated whether our sons and daughters could work side by side with us on our family farms. We were able to streamline the process for renewing agricultural assessments. NRCS responded to your concerns about changes to Code 590. In turn, the latest draft is a thoughtful and well-reasoned plan to allow family farms in this state to do what is best for the environment without being regulated with costly and unreasonable demands for the smallest of farms. Also this year, we saw a number of new initiatives that will allow farm-based wineries, breweries, and distilleries to grow. For the first time, we have an ag representative on the state's Procurement Council to make sure New York agencies and departments think about buying local. We are also working to write new regulations to control invasive species in New York, and we helped secure $40 million in state funding for animal health, industry promotion, agricultural economic development, and farm environmental programs. We took policies approved by this very body and persuaded lawmakers to implement those policies for the betterment of all of us, no matter what you produce or grow. A strong farm sector benefits every member, regardless of size, commodity, or convention. While some of the battles were not won outright, we did force a retreat, and we are ready to take a proposed hike of the minimum wage when it no doubt rears its ugly head again. Added to that, the legislature may be poised to take on the omnibus labor bill, where we have legitimate concerns regarding overtime and collective bargaining for farm workers. We have also held steadfast in the face of potential throughway toll hikes on larger commercial vehicles. I wrote the Thruway Authority, expressing your outrage at the mere thought of approving what is essentially a tax increase. New York Farm Bureau members testified at 4 hearings held across the state, and the media heard our concerns, sharing general personal stories in print, on air, and online. This is a public relations battle we intend to win. We are also pushing forward to get a 2% cap on agricultural assessments. Property taxes are skyrocketing, and if we don't persuade lawmakers to get a handle on them now, the future will be bleak for many. At least, we are beginning to have a clearer picture of where things stand in the state Senate. It was just announced that Senate Republicans have teamed up with the Independent Democratic Conference to share power and leadership. As always, we are prepared to work with leaders and members of both parties. We have strong allies on both sides of the aisle in Albany and Washington, a testament to your clout and being on the right side of so many issues. Just take a look at Governor Cuomo. The state is starting to function again, and that includes working on the behalf of New York farmers to level the playing field for all of us. New York Farm Bureau was the only organization with a seat at the table for both of Governor Cuomo's successful summits, first promoting yogurt and dairy, and then wine, beer, and spirits. This demonstrated that we are a partner with him in opening doors to a more business-friendly environment in this state. He wanted to hear from us about what was working, and more importantly, what wasn't working for the state's farm economy. For our dairy farmers, following the Yogurt Summit, New York Farm Bureau staff is currently working with the administration to push up the state CAFO threshold to 299 cows in a responsible and environmentally friendly way. The proposed regulations were just released this morning, and public hearings will happen early next month. This has been a coordinated effort with the Departments of Environmental Conservation and Ag and Markets. We have a great relationship with both and have friends in Commissioners Martens and Albertine. Following on the heels of the productive Yogurt Summit, we were active participants once again in the so-called Booze Summit, as it was affectionately called. The governor swiftly made some common sense changes to the state liquor authority rules, including allowing our members to sell both beer and wine under one roof, lowering license fees, and pumping more money into marketing efforts to tell people what we already know, that New York has the finest agricultural products around. For the first time that I can recall, New York is rolling back regulations, and that would not happen if it wasn't for New York Farm Bureau's leadership. and will continue to be a vital partner with the governor as he showcases the importance of agriculture to the rural economy. On a national level, we are left with the status quo as we had before the general election, and I think we all know where the past 2 years have been like. We anxiously await the outcome of the 2012 Farm Bill. We were fortunate to have many members of our congressional delegation fighting on our behalf, including Senators Schumer and Gillibrand, Congressman Owens and Gibson. We were able to expand crop insurance coverage for our specialty crop growers, including making some provisions retroactive to cover earlier storms. We also secured a change in the House version that eliminates the bulk apple export inspections fee, which will save our members about $500,000 a year. This was in addition to holding off more extreme cuts to a number of important programs that help us do what we do every day on the farm. We will continue to put pressure on the full House to advance the bill, because if it moves to 2013, more cuts could be on the table in light of the growing budget deficit. As I touched on earlier, we successfully defeated a plan that would force child labor restrictions on our family farms that would prevent our children from learning the trade that has defined many of our farm families for generations. We even secured a promise from the White House that this won't come up again during the president's second term. There is also hope in Washington that we will see movement on immigration reform. And once again, New York Farm Bureau is a major player. American Farm Bureau established a task force to focus on a new strategy to obtain overdue changes that are needed to address your farm labor needs. And our public policy director, Julie Suarez, is on that task force. She worked with her peers from states like Louisiana and California to forge a workable compromise. It wasn't easy to get sugar farmers and vegetable farmers to agree on immigration policy, but it happened. And that sends a very strong and clear message to our federal leaders. That being said, we have no guarantees that changes to the Clean Water Act won't be coming down the pike anytime soon. Along with the American Farm Bureau Federation, New York Farm Bureau has led a coordinated offense to keep the EPA and Army Corps of Engineers from changing an internal guidance document at their whim that would severely impact how we work with our land. Costly restrictive permits may become more of the norm if this change takes effect. Besides working with our lawmakers, New York Farm Bureau has rallied members to e-lobby. We have secured 9 prominent business, public, and conservation groups to sign a joint letter to the feds calling for an end to the nonsense. And nearly a third of New York's county governments in this state have passed resolutions condemning this proposal. Plus, we have been in the press talking about what these impacts would mean not only to farmers, but all taxpayers. If the federal government takes control of virtually every waterway, roadside ditch, and mud puddle. Despite all of these important issues, New York's Farm Bureau's role is more than just legislative. It is also educational. The work of our foundation, promotion and education committees, and young farmer committees goes a long way to spreading our message. We have worked closely with the talented young people in FFA, and I am pleased to see that the Cornell students have started the first collegiate chapter of New York Farm Bureau. The public is more interested than ever before about their food, its safety, and where it comes from. I am proud of the outreach that happens every day, getting kids to understand the basics of farming, the Feed the Hungry program that brings donations into our regional food banks, and the creativity that inspires future farmers to get involved in Farm Bureau. I also want to applaud you, our county farm bureaus, and your leaders. You are the heart and soul of this organization. It is true, all politics are local. You set the agenda at the county level, working up to where we are here today. You help build up our membership rolls to ensure a thriving Farm Bureau. And you are the foot soldiers that carry the message every day to your communities in order to strengthen agriculture for all of us. Last year, we celebrated Farm Bureau's 100th anniversary. And now it's time to look forward to our next century. As a member of the American Farm Bureau Board of Directors, I am also serving on the Centennial Development Project Committee, which is developing a strategic plan for American Farm Bureau for the future, to make sure there's always a strong Farm Bureau organization at the county, state, and national levels, figuring out how to reach the next generation of farmers. It is important we also effectively communicate our needs so the organization and future of agriculture stays strong. Everything is on the table, and I can assure you that the Farm Bureau of the future will be very different from the past and current editions. We have to always look for new ways to grow our message's reach and advocate for our way of life. That includes here in New York. And as we also begin the critical task of strategic planning for New York Farm Bureau, clearly we do many things right here in New York. American Farm Bureau just awarded New York Farm Bureau all 5 awards of excellence for the outstanding quality of our programs and activities in 2012. The New York Farm Bureau team, meaning not only our staff, but also you, county leaders and state leaders, received the American Farm Bureau Awards for excellence in the following categories: education and outreach, leadership development, policy development and implementation, public relations and communications, and member services. They will be presented next month at the American Farm Bureau annual meeting in Nashville. However, as an organization, we must continue to define our goals and lay out a roadmap that will get us to where we need to be. Everything is on the table, from membership to communications to public policy. We will be looking to you for guidance and perspective as we work through our own strategic planning process, and once it's over, we will come out a stronger organization on the other end. Part of the process in looking forward is looking back. Recently, at a nationwide leadership conference, Steve Rasmussen, the CEO, unveiled a new marketing strategy for their company. The defining moment of the commercial that we viewed was a symbol of their past, the nationwide eagle. This represents the pride that their members have in their insurance company. So what about New York Farm Bureau? Well, you could say that we are bringing back an old friend and showing our pride in being Farm Bureau members. In the coming year, we have a concept to get Farm Bureau signs into the hands of every single regular member. To kick off our barn sign campaign, we have a new sign here for all the delegates on the floor today. I am asking that you proudly display the sign on your barns, farm stands, or places of business, and be ready to share your story of why Farm Bureau is important to you. Going forward, that question of why Farm Bureau will help to guide us this week in our conversations with friends and neighbors. It won't be necessarily easy, but then again, farmers aren't used to easy. We understand the value of hard work and fighting for what we believe in. We are grounded in the present with our sights on the future. And with your commitment, your faith, and your knowledge, I'm excited about where the end of this journey will take us. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to the conclusion of another successful state annual meeting.